number 2 after further review here on a Friday, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona. Scone, quick jaunt over to Vegas. He's going to listen to No Doubt in the Sphere. He'll be back on Monday. Taylor Sharp is here. Paul O'Neill is here. We're glad to have you here on a great Friday. Massive news around LSU baseball. Steven Milam pulling out of the MLB draft. He will return for his senior season. Cade Curlin, who LSU added in the transfer portal Thursday night, also today pulls out of the MLB draft. So it looks like the middle infield is set. Ryan Theriot, he's going to hop on with us here via the phone line today. Couldn't make it in for the whole show. It's all good. We appreciate the time we can get it with Ryan. Ryan, how are you?
Doing wonderful. Must be nice to be Matt Moscona today.
Look, I try to set out and just be Matt Musso. Ryan, I mean, that's kind of what I mean. Why be Matt Moscona when you could be Matt Musso? That's kind of what I'm trying to go for here.
I'll tell you why. Because Matt Moscona, if he feels like picking up and just flying to Vegas and seeing Gwen Stefani, then he just does that. I don't know.
No, you got a point there. You got a point there. Matt Musso doesn't do that. I'm not allowed to do that. So that actually is a good point. Look, man, I'm just wondering how you get Friday off. You pull up to the building over here, Ryan. You know this. You're here on Friday. There's nobody here. I mean, at any time of the day, really, on Friday. I'm trying to get that life too.
You'll get there.
Hopefully. All right. Let's talk some baseball here. Steven Milam, long rumored, long speculated, now official. He's returning for his senior season. We'll just start your reaction.
I mean, obviously, selfishly, I'm excited. I think, it's no secret that I've developed a really good relationship with Steven and his family, and, going back from right when they got here into Baton Rouge before season started, before school started. So, selfishly, my family and myself, I'm excited, so I get to watch them wear the purple and gold one more year. But, when you peel back the onion a little bit and just look at all the things in play here, I think that it's an extremely mature decision. Obviously well thought out. Hats off to Baton Rouge, hats off to Jay Johnson and the staff, and then also that clubhouse for even being a thought, or even an opportunity for him to come back for his senior year. We're doing something right down here, Musso, and to forego the draft, going to be a top 30 pick, top 40 pick for sure. I've got a little insider info, but, that's kind of where he was. And just say, hey, listen, I want to wear the purple and gold again. I want to win a natty for the Tigers again. It says a lot for this place. So just really excited for him, but also for the team next year.
I want to get into what it means for the team next year and ask you a couple things there. But you've often talked about him coming back and what that could do to advance his path to Major League Baseball. Can you explain what you mean there again, just for the benefit of listeners who maybe haven't heard it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, it's a general rule of thumb where you kind of progress league to league every year. Junior signees or high school guys, it's either rookie ball or A ball. There's 4 stops before you get to the major leagues. It's the facility league, rookie ball, it's low A, high A, 2 separate leagues, and then it's Double A and Triple A until you get to the big leagues. And, most of the time, if you can skip those leagues, you can. Now, that's just the year that you are closer to the major leagues. And what you're trying to accomplish is to get to the big leagues as fast as you can. I think that, had Steven signed this year, he'd have probably gone to A-ball, and then possibly repeated that next year, just depending on where they sent him. And then your path to the big leagues is 3 or 4 years, which is similar to mine. I mean, that's the path I took. Or you can play your senior season and put up the same numbers, which he's going to, or better. Mm-hmm. And then his immediate path after the draft next year will be in Double A. And that's where you want to be. I mean, if you're in Double A and you have a couple good months, there's a really good chance you get called up to the big leagues. You go straight from Double A to the major leagues, and that's what I did, and that's what a lot of guys do. And so he's really put himself in a position. He's going to skip those A-ball leagues and hopefully go straight to Double-A next year after the draft, and then the rest will be history. We can watch him wear a Yankees uniform for 15 years.
Okay, easy. Let's pick a different uniform. Easy. I mean, look, I'm not saying put him in a Boston uniform. I'm not going to go that. But I mean, can we get him in anything other than the Yankee pinstripes?
We'll see. We'll see about that.
Come on, easy. Again, we don't have to pander to the Yankees. Scone's not here today.
Yeah, you're right.
So, all right, let's look at it from now into next year because, man, Ryan, I look at this and I go, when I look at LSU teams that have made deep runs and sometimes runs that result in hoisting the trophy at the end, there's always that guy that makes the unselfish decision the year prior when he could leave to come back.
That's right.
And Milam fits that mold. So what does his senior season look like now at LSU?
I don't know. Why don't you ask him? Hold on.
It's going to look like we're going to come back and win another natty. That's the goal.
I love that. That's fantastic.
You see what I do for you, Musso?
Welcome to the show, Steven. Well, wait. Why am I talking to you this whole time?
That's all you get.
Oh,
okay?
You can't do that. I can't ask the follow-up on the decision. I have to ask the follow-up on the decision.
I'll give you one follow-up.
I wouldn't be doing my job. Moscona would fire me if you did not let me ask him the follow-up on the decision.
All right. What is it?
All right, Steven, can you just take us through the decision that you went through? This is obviously a massive moment in your life, but to come back to LSU for your senior season.
Yeah, I feel like this place is home, and it's given me everything that I've wanted in life, and I've accomplished everything that I wanted to, but the season didn't go how I wanted it to, and, looking back 20 years down the road, I'll be able to say I gave this place everything I had for 4 years, and, hopefully look back with 2 national championships, and selfishly to be one of the best that ever played shortstop. That means something to me.
He just wants people to say he was better than me when he played here. It's really what he's trying to say right now. So
I mean, now you completely threw me. Now I don't even really know where to go because it's like, well, hey, now what do I mean, anything I ask now, it's like, well, hell, I mean, the man's sitting right next to you.
Well, I mean, yeah, we had today was a big day for us, Muse. It was I don't know if you knew this or not, but Steven's a big collector, and like myself, he loves to rip cards. So we had a huge rip session over at AJ Sports Cards just now. And I'll tell you one of the cooler things, man. We probably interacted with 4 or 5 people on the way over there, just random folks, and every one of them came up to him and thanked him for coming back. And the time that I've spent with him the last, I don't know, couple hours or two, it was him saying, "Hey, man, like this place has given so much to me. Like they don't need to thank me. I should be thanking them. Like this is Baton Rouge, made this decision much easier." And so, hats off to all the fans as well. When a guy's got a chance to go make a couple $1 million and says, you know what, I'm going to put that aside and that can wait, but I'll never have this chance again to put this uniform on. That's a heck of a decision for a young man to make. And I think, like you said on your question earlier about what that team looks like, to have a leader like that those guys can look to and say, man, look, if he did this, I got to give it everything I've got. That's pretty powerful. And, so obviously I think it's going to be an awesome season.
All right, well, I'll ask you one more, or if you want to give the phone back to Monster, you can, about the infield next year, because Steven's coming back. You add Cade Curlin. He pulls his name out of the draft. It's a 4-year starter in the SEC. Dawson Park, obviously going to fit into that infield somewhere as well. I mean, just a thought on and then Mason Braun at first base, who really showed some chops there as a freshman. Man, that looks like one of the more formidable units in college baseball for 2027.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where Braun ends up. I mean, I know I haven't talked to Jay specifically about it, but he got a lot of run in the outfield there toward the end. It looked like to me that they were really kind of working on that. So wherever Braun fits, he's going to fit. His bat is going to play. The kid can really, really hit. But anytime, and Steven and I talked about this earlier today, I mean, when you're setting up an ideal lineup to go win championships, you're strong up the middle, right? I think we've got the best 2 catchers in the country. And I think that, like Cerna could be 1-1, honestly. I could see that happening when his time comes. You've got a couple starters coming back on the mound that I think are going to improve and be really, really good. You've got the best middle infield in America. I mean, you talked about Curlin. This is a kid that had 17 homers his freshman year that, really was freshman All-American, had a few injuries and dealt with that. But you get him right. I mean, and then I don't know. I'm not sure about this, but man, if we could convince old Jake Brown to come back, this thing looks pretty good next year. So I told Steven, I said, man, you gotta see if you can get him to come back.
That's right.
Know, but it's shaping up good, and it was a great day for Tiger baseball today, obviously, and we're all excited, man.
It's right. He's got to play recruiter now, right? That's the hat that has to go on now for Steven is recruiting his teammates and whatnot to come back. It is a great day, man. Awesome day for Jay. Awesome day for the program. Awesome day for Steven and his family. That's pretty much all I got for you. You really kind of threw me off there, the whole line of questioning, but appreciate it. That was great. So thank you to you. Thank you to Steven for hopping on for a little bit there as well. And we'll catch up with you next week, Ryan.
You're the man, Muse. Thanks for having me, as always.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
All right, we roll along here. Friday edition of AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona. The New Orleans Saints have wrapped up OTAs here in 2026. They will hit the field again next week, starting on Tuesday for mandatory mini camp. One thing that's interesting, I guess, when you look at this, and I came across an article today over at Yahoo asking about the Saints' additions at edge and pass rusher, and if it was enough. While all the focus has really been on what the Saints brought in offensively to help Tyler Shuck, while all the focus has been on Jonas Sanker's move to star, that's been a big talking point here. The strength of your cornerback room, which, I mean, look, the Saints said it themselves. They went into the draft hoping to land a quarterback. It just didn't fall that way for them. Edge rusher maybe has kind of flown under the radar, and pass rush kind of has flown under the radar. All of that works in tandem, right? Well, your cornerbacks are what they are. You don't feel like that's the strength of your defense. But a good pass rush can obviously help that. Disrupt the quarterback, make him release the ball earlier. All of those types of things helps your defense on the back end. And the question that this article over at Yahoo posed is, were the additions enough? Because when you look at this depth-wise, you can argue that the Saints are pretty thin on the edge and at pass rushing positions. I mean, if you just look at edge with the Saints, you have Chase Young, Carl Granderson. That's going to be the top of your edge room right there. Chris Rump. Jury's still out on Cam Jordan. You can see that, all right, numbers are a little thin there. So what did you add? Well, you added Tyree Wilson, an edge. You added Anthony Jennings, outside linebacker. But when I look at this for the Saints, you're already starting at a good spot, pass rush-wise. You had 45 sacks a season ago in 2025. You're returning 28 of those. Of the 45 sacks, 12 and a half came from positions other than edge rusher. You have a good foundation there. Now you add Anthony Jennings, you add in Tyree Wilson, and the guy that you're not talking about that you added in is also Caden Ellis. Let's start with Chase Young. So Chase Young a year ago had 10 sacks. He only played in 12 games. Your pass rush really went as Chase Young went with his health a year ago. Remember, he missed the first 5 games of the season. But once he got back, that's when the pass rush really took off because you ended up with 2 double-digit sack guys with Young and Cam Jordan. And Carl Granderson played a great complement to them and ended up with 6 of his own. But you're looking at Chase Young, 12 games, 10 sacks. You get 17 games out of him, that's going to take to the next level. You would expect 14, 15 maybe sacks from Chase Young, provided he's healthy and gives you 17 games. I think that's a fair expectation. Maybe even more than that. You know Carl Granderson's a good compliment, all right? That's a really good foundation. Then you add in, again, the 12 and a half sacks from other positions outside of defensive end. And by the way, you return 10 and a half of those. The only ones you lose, you return 10. The only ones you lose are the 2 from Alontae Taylor and the half sack that DeMario Davis had. And then we get into your additions. Tyree Wilson, former 7th overall pick, brings 12 career sacks in 3 seasons. His season high is 4.5. That's not what you'd expect from a 7th overall pick. But you know the ability is in there. Let's say he matches his career high and gives you 4.5. That's a really good number. That's going to help you on the back end. You go to Anthony Jennings. And his strength has been run defense. Like, we talked about that from the moment he was signed. But after he signed and he met with the media, this was back in May, he talked about how he feels his ability to get to the quarterback, impact the passer, is an underrated part of his game.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't went for 10-plus sacks yet, but, I feel like I affect the quarterback in many ways. Batted balls, just being around him. It's always been this narrative where, I couldn't get to the quarterback or all this and that. And you watch the game, I'm constantly affecting the quarterback. I feel like, and, I just, try to do whatever I can, whatever situation I'm in to help the team win. And whether that's getting out to the quarterback, stopping the run, or whatever, that's all I'm trying to do is win the game.
He has a point there. I want to come back to it. But you heard him say he hadn't gone for 10 double-digit sacks in a season. Anthony Jennings brings in 7.5 sacks in his career. His season high is 2.5. But he mentioned impacting the game in the other ways. And you know what? He's got a point there. In the last 2 seasons, he's hit the quarterback 16 times, 25 times for his career. Double-digit QB hurries, double-digit QB knockdowns. He is getting to the passer. He talked about batting the ball down. You don't always have to make the sack for it to count. I like what he can bring. And then, as we said, Caden Ellis is the guy that no one's really talking about really in this role. Caden Ellis brings 20.5 career sacks back to New Orleans. His season high of 7 came at New Orleans. We talked about this with Ross Jackson a few weeks ago when I was filling in for Matt. This is a real possibility that you see in third down packages. You can have Granderson, Young on the field, and then bring in Danny Stutzman, put him at Mike, have Pete Werner play outside, and bring Caden Ellis closer to the line of scrimmage and let him go impact the passer. There are ways that Brandon Staley can maneuver this. I look at this, I say, have the Saints done enough to address pass rusher? I say yes. And then the wild card is what happens with Cam Jordan. Because we already know that Cam Jordan, at the age he is, on a limited snap count that he played a year ago in Brandon Staley's defense, being moved back out on the edge, can deliver. I'm not telling you if Cam Jordan ends up going back to the Saints for 2026 that he's going to have 10.5 sacks again. I think that's probably unlikely. But could Cam Jordan go out there, have 6, 7, 8 sacks? I think that's certainly possible. And that adds another dimension, especially with the way you could potentially move Caden Ellis around on this defense and third down packages. You saw some great pass rush traits from Isaiah Stallbird a year ago. He's back. Jonas Sanker, filling the Alante Taylor role. How does he affect the passer in rush standpoint, from a rush standpoint? I think they've done enough there. I think the Saints have actually set themselves up, given the positional versatility of a couple guys that they did bring in, who we've mentioned here, to have a really formidable pass rush in 2026. And they're going to need it. You got better stopping the run with an addition of Anthony Jennings. You got Godshaw back for another year, just run stuffer. Now it looks like you've shorn up the pass rush. And you need that given the condition that your secondary is in. Maybe they add one more piece to the secondary. But if we're trying to answer the question, have the Saints done enough with their pass rush? My answer is yes. And I think it could be a fun season watching the black and gold get to the quarterback with all the different things that they can do now on that side of the ball. Okay, we're going to grab a break, but before we do that, Taylor, I'm not sure what floating live we're on, but here's Matt with a message on one of our great sponsors here on AFR.
Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, as we say, together we roar. Part of the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System. And, I love telling you about Our Lady of the Lake because whenever we talk about health care, Our Lady of the Lake understands the two things primarily that people want are access and convenience. And they knock that out of the park. Whether it be at the regional medical center, if it's the lake after hours, if it's any of the specialty services that you may need, heart, stroke, cancer, pediatrics, you want the best. You want Our Lady of the Lake. You can learn more about the Championship Health Partnership, OLOLRMC.com/LSU, OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together we roar.
All right, we're going to grab a break. We still have a lot to get to here on the show. I mean, we haven't even touched on this massive official visitor weekend that LSU has coming up here in the third week of June. It's going to be a big weekend on campus, so we got to get some thoughts on that as well. So plenty left to do. We'll grab a break, come back on the other side. I do want to talk a little College World Series. West Virginia has defeated Troy 7-5, so the Mountaineers are 1-0, their very first win ever in the College World Series in their first game. They await the winner of tonight's game between Ole Miss and North Carolina. I want to give you some thoughts on how I think the field and the bracket plays out in Omaha now that the tournament's underway. So we'll do that next here on AFR.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Brought to you by Evermore. Drink Evermore, EVAMOR, Evermore.com, Evermore.com. For elite athletes, for someone who just wants a healthier lifestyle. Maybe you're a parent, you want a healthier option for your children. Evermore is a great option. I would highly encourage you, bottom line, if you're drinking tap water, don't. Bare minimum, filter your tap water. But the best option is Evermore. This is natural artesian water. It's underground aquifers on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain, right there in Covington. They dug a well into that aquifer. And, I mean, it's literally thousands of years in the making. That's why they call it Mother Nature's masterpiece. That's what they're pulling out of the ground. The only filtration is take, the sediment from the ground out of the water, and it goes right into the bottle. So it never touches air until you uncap it, take that first delicious sip. Learn more where you can buy it, great retailers or online, EVAMOR, Evermore.com.
All right, we're going to some LSU football here to start the 5 o'clock hour. But while I had a moment, I did want to take some time and talk a little bit of College World Series. That got underway today. And just kind of give you my thoughts on how I see the bracket playing out. Or I mean, maybe we should just call it the SEC tournament with 5 SEC teams there and then making up one full side of the bracket. Let's start with some of the action today. West Virginia, they defeated Troy 7-5. Back and forth game, man. I mean, the first 3 innings of that baseball game between the Mountaineers and the Trojans, you blinked and you missed something. It was 4-4 after 3 innings. You had a homer in there. You had a steal of home. Like, it was fast and furious to start. A great relief outing for Ian Korn for West Virginia was the difference in that game, along with a 2 RBI single late in the bottom of the 8th. So the Mountaineers advance. I look at this West Virginia team, and I see a team that can make a little noise. I'm not telling you that West Virginia is going to win the national championship. In fact, I don't think they are. I hope they do, but I don't think that they are. I think they lack a little too much on the mound. But where it gets interesting with them is the style of offense that Steve Sabins plays. And it is very much, you might remember this from a year ago when they came down here for the Super Regional, it forces the defense to make a lot of plays. Fast catch. All of those, they like to run. They will steal, get them on, get them over, get them in. They are great at exploiting any type of mistake. It's a real lineup, and now they've shown pop in that lineup as well, especially here in the NCAA tournament. So the way they score, the pressure they put on the opposition, that intrigues me about West Virginia. The other interesting part here is they have the Big 12 Pitcher of the Year. He will go for them in game number 2 in the winner's bracket against either Ole Miss or North Carolina. It's not out of the realm of possibility that West Virginia gets hot, wins that game, and somebody has to come back and beat them twice. That's their best path because they do not have the depth on the mound, nor the stuff on the mound to compete through a loser's bracket, having to come back and beat either Ole Miss or North Carolina twice. That just isn't a thing. But their offense is intriguing because in this ballpark where the ball does not jump out, now the ball flew pretty well today, except later in that game with Troy and West Virginia. It was in the 8th inning. The first batter of the, ninth inning. First batter of the 9th inning for Troy hits a rocket towards the gap. The right fielder is back towards the infield, running full speed after this ball, looking like it's going to go out of the park, and then he pulls up shy of the warning track and makes the play. That's the Chuck. That's Charles Schwab Field. That's what we're used to seeing. But you did have 2 home runs. But in a park where the ball doesn't fly out, an offense like West Virginia that puts all that pressure on you, that can be dangerous. I'm just saying don't be surprised if West Virginia makes a little noise here. They've already won 1 game. Now, to the nightcap. North Carolina and Ole Miss. This should be a fabulous game of baseball tonight. Ole Miss going to go with Taylor Rabe on the bump to start. I was a little surprised by that move because, you have Hunter Elliott, who has won a national championship, has pitched in the biggest game in Omaha. And oh, by the way, Ole Miss has never lost an NCAA tournament game started by Hunter Elliott. Thought that might be the way you go, but they're going to go with Taylor Rabe. Taylor Rabe has been fantastic. He has developed into the ace of that Ole Miss staff. Big fastball, big breaking ball, really nice off-speed pitch as well. He's been really good. North Carolina hadn't seen many guys like him in the ACC this year, but they'll counter with Ryan Lynch, who's been fantastic on their side as well all season in the game 1 start. You're looking at a guy, mid-90s fastball, great off-speed and breaking stuff for him as well. This should be an awesome game. The difference, I believe, is Ole Miss's offense in this game. Can the Rebs score without the long ball? Judd Utermark, Tristan Becerra, Austin Foley, all those big home run hitters. How does that play at Charles Schwab? What's the wind doing? If Ole Miss can get a few balls out of the yard, they're going to be in a really good spot. I think they can handle North Carolina if that's the case. If they can get a few balls out of the yard. If not, I think you're in a much tighter ball game. And for there, I'll favor the better pitching staff. And for me, that's Ole Miss. I know Walker McDuffie is awesome at the back end for North Carolina. Ryan Lynch has been great. I get it. But Taylor Rabe carved in the SEC. Hooks at the back end of Ole Miss's bullpen is such a different look than Rabe. I think that could play really well. I think Ole Miss wins that game. I think Ole Miss wins that bracket. There just isn't a team that has the 3 starters like Ole Miss has. Play this out. Ole Miss goes Taylor Rabe, game 1, you get to the winner's bracket. You have Hunter Elliott potentially waiting right there. You win that. Oh, by the way, Cade Townsend is going to throw your winner's bracket game where someone has to beat you twice. Or there's a chance you could have Hunter Elliott for that game, depending on how Mike Bianco wants to stack the rest of his pitching staff. That's a team that hits mainly for power. So if you take the home run, I'm worried, especially with the swing and miss in their bat. But they've shown the ability to score plenty of runs. They pitch. They have a closer. 3 dominant starters. That has bracket winner written all over it. I think Ole Miss ends up coming out of that side. Now you go to the SEC side. Alabama, it's been a great run. I think Alabama's going 0-2. Alabama got I don't know if you've ever seen pair ratings in college baseball. But it's a rating system. They have a Twitter account. It's actually a really good follow. I would encourage you to follow it. Based on their metrics, their ratings, Alabama had the easiest path to Omaha. Okay, this is an Alabama team that had a great season, has some really high-end players. Tyler Fay has really stepped up in the front of their rotation, has been awesome. Get through a no-hitter earlier this year. Obviously, we know about Justin LeBron at shortstop. Torres in that lineup as well. Brady Neal, former Tigers, had a great year. But Alabama was a flawed baseball team this year as well. And if not for their draw, they're probably not here. I think it ends for them in Omaha. I think they go 0-2. I like Oklahoma in that game. Why? Well, Cord Rager, who is a freshman, has been awesome for them since taking over the Friday night start, or the game 1 start. LJ Mercurius has moved to the bullpen and has been very good there. And oh, by the way, that Oklahoma offense is very similar to West Virginia. They want to steal bases. Their speed impacts and puts a lot of pressure on the defense. And Alabama is an atrocious fielding baseball team. Alabama has fielded. Their season's not over yet. They are fielding .963 on the year. Facing that Oklahoma offense, the pressure they put on you, I think that's a recipe for disaster for Alabama against Oklahoma. And then let's say you lose that. Oh, by the way, your consolation prize in the loser's bracket is either Texas or Georgia. I think it's going to be a rough stay for Alabama and Omaha. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I think it's going to be a rough stay for them. So the nightcap on Saturday, Georgia and Texas. Y'all, maybe you come back after the College World Series and over and you can throw this in my face. I am not a believer in Georgia. I do not think they're winning the national championship. I have not thought that really all season. I think the home run power goes away a little. I think they get theirs in Omaha, but not at the clip they were hitting on the season. I have major questions about their pitching depth and have all year. The top of their pitching staff is very good. You get Matt Scott, you get Justin Bird out of the bullpen. That's awesome. Paul Farley's had some nice outings. I get that. But you don't have an ace. You do not have a true ace. Joey Volchko can be really good one night and just be pittance the next timeout. I have questions there. You saw them move Dylan Vignew, their Saturday guy, into the bullpen for the Super Regional. They're trying to pare that down and get the most of those guys that they can. You know who doesn't have that problem? Texas. Texas is built very similar to Ole Miss. You have 3 really good starters with Dylan Volantis at the front of that thing. I have a lot more faith in Dylan Volantis than I do Joey Volchko from a consistency standpoint. Then you back that up with Harrison and Riojas. Oh, by the way, Cozart in your bullpen, true elite closer. And Texas can hit. And not only can Texas hit, Texas can hit for power, Texas can hit for average. They can score in a lot of different ways. They can keep pace with Georgia, but I also think Dylan Volantis is able to slow down that Georgia lineup. I like Texas to beat Georgia. I like Texas to win that bracket and face Ole Miss. If you're looking for a national championship pick, I like the Texas Longhorns to win the College World Series. I have really since February. There's a Musso at the Box episode you go back and find if you're trying to call me out on it, I guess. If you think, Musso, you're just blowing smoke. It was one of the post-game shows. Who's impressed you most? This was February. I was like, Texas, I think they're going to win the national championship. And I still do. I think they're the most balanced team.
Brought to you by Parish Construction Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Tell you every day do business with someone you know. That's me and Terrio and Richard Tilley and Joe Morales and Trent Davis and our whole staff. And we appreciate everyone so much who's giving us the opportunity. Our commercial roofing manager, Matt Pearson, sent us all a text that we were just awarded a large commercial roofing job today, and they heard us talking about it. And yes, of course, at your home, any roof repair, replacement, we love to help you out. We can install gutters for you. We do soft wash, do all of it. But I want to remind you that we are a commercial roofing company as well. So if your commercial building needs a new roof or repair, you have any issues whatsoever, we have the best guy. We went and scoured the world and found Matt Pearson in Florida, and we brought him to Baton Rouge. I'm convinced there's not a soul alive that knows more about commercial roofing than Matt Pearson. So if your commercial building is having any roof issues, roof repair, replacement, or you just need options, trust me, have a conversation with Matt Pearson. We'd love to help you out. Parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com.
All right, closing out hour number 2 of AFR. We'll do so with Tigers in the Pros. Taylor, take it away.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, starting Major League Baseball yesterday, the Chicago Cubs take down the Colorado Rockies 9-3, thanks in large part to former Tiger Alex Bregman. The third baseman went 2 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBIs, scored a run on his own as well, averaging 246 on the year, but a big day for Alex Bregman. Tonight, 8 o'clock window, Athletics versus Rockies. Gage Jump will be on the mound for the A's. Since being called up, Gage Jump has been awesome, 2-1 on the year with a 2.46 ERA. Yesterday in the WNBA, former LSU Tiger Angel Reese, she was in action 33 minutes, 25 points, shot 50% from the field to go along with 9 rebounds and 3 assists. The Atlanta Dream did drop that game, though, to the New York Liberty. Finally, Sam Burns in a 4-way tie for second place out there at the Canadian Open. He shot 3 under today, 6 under yesterday. He is 9 under for the tournament, just 1 shot off of Ben James, who leads the tournament currently at 10 under par. And that is Tigers in the Pros.
This is At Further Review here on a Friday edition. Musso in for Moscona. Scone is back on Monday. He's going to go listen to No Doubt in Vegas, and then he'll be back. We'll be back here with you on Monday. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. Massive official visitor weekend for LSU football. That's how June goes, and they got another stacked list. We'll run through it, tell you what you need to know as we kick off hour number 2. For now, Sports Center. That's going to get you caught up on your national headlines.